Hey there, friends. It's Wanda with Fox Hollow Peonies. And I have posted on some of my social media places recently that this is the time of the year that I bring in some of the peonies that have been in my chiller for a while. It's the end of the season, and I always end up with just some random peonies still in the chiller that I didn't sell. And so when we start to shut our chiller down for the year, then what I do is I bring the last end of the peonies in, and I put them in buckets of water, and I put them in buckets to get them to open up. And it's always interesting to me to see, first of all, peonies are such an amazing flower. These peonies here were put in the chiller in mid-July. They're one of my last varieties to bloom, and so they've been in the chiller since held at about 33 degrees since mid-July. And it's always amazing to me that a lot of them still open. Some of them don't, but a lot of them still open, and it's just amazing. So what I do is I have this table set up in the back of my living room, and I just put all these buckets of water, and I bring all the peonies in from the chiller. And I so appreciate my dear husband who puts up with this once a year of having buckets of peonies sitting all over our house. But anyways, I bring them in and I let them open up, and then I take them upstairs. Upstairs is where my boys' bedroom is from when my boys were growing up. And it has been changed into my seed starting room in the spring. And then in the fall, it is my drying room. So I have lots of peonies drying up there, as well as a lot of other flowers, the end of my season in my other flower garden. So I have feverfew and sunflowers and blue plurum and lots of other great things drying for my fall craft projects. And the important thing to know about drying flowers is that if possible, you do need to dry them in a dark room. That helps them maintain their color better. So it needs to be a warm, dry, dark room. And of course, our upstairs is very warm. It's the warmest place in the house this time of year. So my boys' bedroom is warm, and it's dark. I can completely have the windows blocked off from light, and so I can take all my flowers up there to dry. So I bring these peonies in, and I have a whole table full of them, as you can see. And I don't know if you have ever experienced this, but every now and then you might run into a peony that won't open. And I know I've heard a lot of people experience this, especially from peonies they get that are brought into America from overseas. Or sometimes peonies are harvested a little bit too early. If you are a peony farmer in your early years, one thing you want to really do is to practice harvesting your peonies at different stages. And every peony variety has an ideal harvest stage. Some of them don't mind being harvested a little hard. They'll still open. And some of them, like these red ones, you really need to harvest when it's quite loose. If you harvest them really early and they're really hard, they will never open. Like I have a few over here that it's like a golf ball. And I've heard some people calling peonies sometimes are like a golf ball on a stick. And so you don't want to harvest your peonies when they're really super hard. They need to be at least, usually most varieties at least have the top petal lifting and a little bit of softening when you squeeze on the side of the peony. But this variety, these red ones, are called Mary Jo Lagar. They're like a beautiful burgundy. If you harvest them really hard and closed, they'll never open. And so if you run into a situation where you're having trouble getting your peonies to open, here's a couple things you can do. First of all, on the back of every flower are these little green things called sepals. And a lot of times, especially with peonies, those sepals will get kind of glued down. with the sticky stuff that peonies emit earlier in the season, sometimes those sepals will get glued down, and that kind of stops the peony from opening. So what you want to do is pull back those sepals or even remove them. On this peony here, I've completely removed. Here's one of the sepals here, and I'm just going to remove all of those. The second thing that you can do is actually bang the peony on a table. And no, it won't hurt it, but if you just kind of whack it on the table a little bit, that loosens up the bud. And then what you want to do is give your peony a massage. So what you want to do is put your pointer finger and your index finger in underneath, and you just kind of press down on the peony all the way around. And so these peonies that have been in my chiller for quite a while, they're a little bit tired. And so some of them are not wanting to open even after I put them in water. So I am needing to encourage them a little bit to open. And so that's what I've been doing, is you just give it a little massage, and you can kind of feel how you're just kind of loosening it up. And then what you want to do is, some of you I know have seen videos about reflexing roses. It's kind of the same thing. You want to work your way around and start pulling open the outer petals. See how I've gone around and pulled them? And you just keep working your way in to the middle of the flower with your thumbs, just kind of gently loosening them up. And you just want to work your way around the flower. Now these aren't quite opening up like they do when they're earlier in the season. They open up into a big, huge bomb shape. But most of these I'm able to get open this much. Isn't that beautiful? Almost looks like a rose, doesn't it? So what I do is I leave them in the bucket a couple days, and I just keep doing this. I keep taking each flower, if it's not wanting to open, and just giving it a massage and kind of pulling the outer petals down a little bit till I get it open as far as I can. Another thing you can do with peonies is take your bucket, put warm water in it, recut your stems and put them in, and put a plastic bag over the top of all the stems in the bucket. And that kind of creates almost like a greenhouse effect. So it kind of steams and creates like a greenhouse. And then there is also a product called Quick Dip. I think I have some over here. Quick Dip is a floral hydrating treatment that is really good for flowers that are not wanting to open. It also revives those flowers that are a little bit finicky, that tend to wilt as soon as you harvest them. Like I grew forget-me-nots this year, and they tend to be kind of wilty. So I put a splash of this into the my harvesting water, and then also another splash, just a little splash in the bucket I was keeping them in, and it just revived them right away. And so I found this works with some peonies too. Just put a splash of it in your water and recut your stems and put them in. So those are some ideas of getting your peonies to open if they're being stubborn. But a lot of times if they're really hard, like a golf ball, that means they were harvested way too early. They need to be at least, like I said, the first petal lifting up, and some give when you press in from the side. So anyways, I've got these beautiful guys here. Look at that one, isn't that gorgeous? So I'm going to take them upstairs, and I just put them in buckets with no water in them, and I just put them in like this, and just leave them upstairs in my boys' bedroom to dry. So sometimes I'll get flowers. The white ones are really hard to dry because they have a tendency to turn brown. And so here's a white one. So I don't have a whole lot of whites dried. I've got lots of pinks and lots of reds. And but this one didn't turn out too great, right? It looks kind of yucky, and it's brown on the back. So I use these for my potpourri. So what I do is I just pull some of the petals off like that. If it's got some browning on, I just break that off and put it in the compost bucket. And then I have some little white petals that go in this is my big petal bowl. And I'll be using this in the next few weeks. I'll be making a bunch of potpourri sachets, peony potpourri sachets to sell at a winter bazaar that's coming up in a few weeks. So the ones that didn't dry too great, I break off the ones that are not discolored and put them in here's a hot pink one that didn't dry real great. So I'll be breaking those petals off and put them in my bowl. So just to let you know, my dried peonies are available for shipping, and I ship them all over the United States. If you want dried peonies for any of your fall projects, I also have dried flat peonies where I just dried the peony without the stem. I think I have a few I can show you. So here's a white one and here's a pink one. So these are just dried flat without the stems on them. And these are great for wreaths. And so if you want dried peonies for your wreaths this winter, or for any dried flower arrangements that you might be making, I do have these available for sale on my website, foxhollowpeonies.com. So check that out. I'd love to ship you some of our naturally dried, beautiful Alaska peonies. But the best thing about bringing these in right now is the last chance of the year to smell that wonderful peony smell. See you next time.